Yo, what's going on out there? It's Larry coming to you again with another Blazing Sports Report. The NBA playoffs are set. East and Western Conference, we know all our seedings. We know who's going to be in it. We know who's out. All that other good stuff. We know who's matching up with who. And like I told y'all before, once the playoffs got set, I was going to give y'all my predictions. I'm basically going to break down the first round matchup. I'm going to go round by round. As the playoffs progress, I'm going to go series by series. I'm going to give you what I think. So these videos are going to be a little bit long because like I told y'all before, I'm not entertaining, I'm an analyst, and let me go ahead and analyze these matchups. So we're going to start in the Eastern Conference. We got Chicago and Philly, and Chicago won the season series 2-1. Now, Derrick Rose has been in and out of the lineup for the past 2.5, maybe 3 months with various injuries. We know the groin injury and the ankle injury. And both of these things are things that affect the speed and quickness of what he's able to bring. But we have seen that he still has the explosiveness that he does, that he's showcased in the past. Now, the thing with Derrick Rose is he takes a lot of shots. They're not always good shots, but he can still penetrate and get to the basket. We always known that his shot selection was always iffy on what he did in terms of getting to the basket. Against the Philadelphia 76ers, we know that they have plenty of perimeter defenders, and Andre Iguodala, Evan Turner, Thaddeus Young may even get in there, get some time against some Drew Holiday as well. They're going to bring various defenders at him. Now, the thing that the Chicago Bulls and they do have more, I guess you could say, of an advantage is at the center position with Joakim Noah and Ashik all coming off the bench. And you also have Taj Gibson, who comes in and rotates at the 5 at times as well. What this says is that the inside game will definitely belong to the Chicago Bulls. Now, if there's anything that Philadelphia has that Chicago doesn't, is that they don't have that one-star player on which they rely on, which means they play more of a team-oriented game. We know that they didn't have a scorer, I believe, that averaged more than 15 points a game on this team because they all spread the ball around so evenly. I'm not sure. Maybe y'all can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I know that earlier on in the season, they didn't have that definitive go-to guy, which could also be a hindrance to them. Now, we know in the fourth quarter that Lewis Williams will take over for the Philadelphia 76ers. But I think that this series will be a lot more tightly contested than a lot of people will give it credit for. In the East, I think the matchups will be a little bit tighter than you'll get in the West. But like I said, it's the season was shortened, so this is pretty much the time when guys would be ratcheting up their play anyway to get to the playoffs. And for these Sixers, I don't think they're going to come in here any relaxed. The thing that a lot of people do know that the Sixers have faltered late this season. And the Bulls have thrived a little bit without Derrick Rose, but you know that he's going to get the ball late. You know what he's going to do. He's going to take over the game when necessary. But the thing is, Derrick Rose, if he wants to complement this team better, he's going to have to become more of a facilitator for this team than be the scorer for this team. We've seen that the Chicago Bulls thrive in a team-oriented offense when everybody's getting the ball, when everybody's sharing, when Dean's getting shots, when Korver's getting shots, when Rip Hamilton's getting shots, Boozer's getting shots. They're a very deep team, the Chicago Bulls are. The Sixers don't have the depth that Chicago has, but I do think that they will still contend with these guys a lot harder than a lot of people are giving them credit for. But in the end, I do see Chicago winning this series. It's all going to rely on what we get out of Derrick Rose. If he is a non-factor, you know they still have C.J. Watson coming off the bench. They still have John Lucas III to come off the bench. There's a lot of good things that Chicago Bulls have heading into this. Like I said, the center position, Chicago is very good. Well, inside game, if you want to call it that. Chicago Bulls have a very, very, I will say, a more talented inside team than the Philadelphia 76ers do. That could bode well for them. We know they'll like to get on the boards. They'll like to rebound. They'll defend well. The Sixers don't score a lot of points as it is anyway. This is going to be a low-scoring series, but I do think the Chicago Bulls will pull this out in 5 games. Moving on, I'm going to save this second matchup for last because the Miami-New York matchup, I'm going to have a lot of things to say about that one. We're going to move to the Pacers and the Magic, where there's really nothing to talk about here. The Magic, they've lost Dwight Howard. Turkoglu came back tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. But Indiana has been playing on such a high level that it's flown under the radar so much that a lot of people have not given these guys the recognition that they deserve. Now, Orlando won the season series 3-1, but we got to remember this. They don't have Dwight Howard right now. Dwight Howard is their anchor on the inside. They basically have nobody to contend with Roy Hibbert on the inside, who was an all-star this year. Danny Granger, he's been playing lights out. Paul George. Let's put it this way. The Indiana Pacers are a lot more athletic than the Orlando Magic are right now. The Orlando Magic, I've been on record for saying that they're probably the least athletic team in the NBA. I'm pretty sure they're the least athletic team in these playoffs right now. But Jameer Nelson has to step his game up. Jason Richardson definitely has to step his game up if he wants to. If the Magic have any chance, Turkoglu, you can't expect much for him coming back. He's never been in the best of shape, as it's been documented already. But the Magic are really going to wear thin on the inside when it comes to contending with David West, Roy Hibbert, and those guys on the inside. But I think more than anything, that perimeter and the perimeter game of the Indiana Pacers will propel them against the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic, like I said, they're thin. Ryan Anderson, he has to step his game up. He disappeared last year in the playoffs. But Danny Granger, Paul George, they have Barbosa now, George Hill, Dante Jones. They're a pretty deep team as well on in the backcourt. Front court, they're a little thin. They do have Lou Amundsen, but he's not really someone I would call a factor. But the Magic don't have that inside game to back themselves on, I guess you can call it that, this time around that they did with Dwight Howard. I think the Pacers will win this one. Depending on which Magic team shows up, if we get the consistent Magic, this could be a 6-game series. If not, I look for the Magic to probably get swept in this series. I don't think the Magic really have a chance in this series against the Indiana Pacers, so we're going to move on from that. Boston Celtics, Atlanta Hawks. This is a very intriguing series. Boston is the 4 seed, but the Atlanta Hawks do have the home court advantage because they do have the better record. The Boston Celtics only got the 4 seed because they are the division winners. Now, the Atlanta Hawks, they have been without Al Horford, and they still put up these great numbers all season long. Josh Smith has been playing at an all-star level. Joe Johnson has turned it on as of late. Jeff Teague has shown that he is a true starting point guard in this league. Kirk Heinrich is back. Tracy McGrady is still there to chip in every now and then. Now, in the regular season series, Boston won this 2-1. But the thing that a lot of people need to realize with this is that the Boston Celtics are a completely different team now than they were at the beginning of the season. Rondo was their focal point, but now the big three are back. Ray Allen is probably going to come off the bench still. And when I look at this matchup, I think the real key to this, because both teams really doesn't have that strong of a bench. If I was to tell you from my analysis, I wouldn't say that either team really has a strong bench. But I will say this: the starting lineups for these teams are going to have to produce for both sides. Avery Bradley has been inserted for the starting lineup of the Boston Celtics. He's taken over that role. He's been tremendous. He's a great defender in the backcourt. He's quick on the offensive side. He's shown that he can knock down three-pointer shot. He's been a nice complement to Rajon Rondo in the backcourt. We know we're going to get out the truth in Paul Pierce. We know that Kevin Garnett has thrived at the center position. And because the Hawks lack a real center, because we know Al Horford has been out all season with the torn shoulder or torn muscle, that leaves Pachulia in there, and I don't think Pachulia can really be one of those guys to actually guard Kevin Garnett at that 5 position. You got to remember Brandon Bass is also in there for them, but he's going to have his hand full contending with Josh Smith. Like I said, the Hawks are one of those teams where if someone gets it going, it seems like everybody can get it going. But if someone stalls out, they only have one guy that really shows up. It's like, it's kind of I'm not going to say it's contagious, but it's like when they play a team game, it seems like the whole team chips in, and they're a very tough team to beat. But if there's just one guy that gets it going, it seems like everyone else just disappears and watches that one guy go to work. Joe Johnson has turned it on hotly as of late. We know that in previous years, he's pretty much disappeared. But if Joe Johnson could continue this hot streak going in, especially if he plays the 2 guard spot, Avery Bradley will have his hands full trying to contend with Joe Johnson. I mean, the man is 6'7", 6'8", 220, 240, if I'm not mistaken. He's a big guy that a lot of people don't realize that. He may not be as athletic as some of these other guys. I mean, he has LeBron size, but he doesn't have LeBron athleticism. If Joe Johnson can stroke it from deep, if Josh Smith can play with his head on straight as he has shown all season long, then this team could actually go far into these playoffs. But against the Boston Celtics team, where you really don't know what you're going to get with them as of late, because Rondo has been hurt, Ray Allen has been hurt, Paul Pierce has been carrying the load, Garnett is older. You really don't know what to expect with this Boston Celtic team. I will say this, though. I think this will probably be one of those series that may go 7 games. I think it will be that competitive. When I look at the season series, let me check something real quick. Boston won at Atlanta. Atlanta's only win came at home against Boston. Boston beat them in their own place, so I don't know how much home court will affect them, but I will say this. When I look at this matchup, Boston has the advantage at the point guard position. Rondo, I would pick him over Bradley all day. At the 2 guard spot, I'm going to take Joe Johnson. At small forward, Paul Pierce against Marvin Williams. I mean, there's really nothing to be said there, but Marvin Williams may or may not start. He's been in and out of lineup all season long. At the 4 spot, Josh Smith against Brandon Bass. I'm going to take Josh Smith all day. And at the center position, I'm going to take Kevin Garnett over Pachulia. And you look at the bench, you got Ivan Johnson, Ivan the Terrible. You got Kirk Heinrich that comes off the bench. I mean, who else comes off the bench? You have Tracy McGrady that comes off the bench. I don't know who the backup center is. I don't even know if they have a legitimate one. But when you look at the Boston side, you got Keon Doolan, backup point guard. Ray Allen will probably come off the bench this entire series. You got Greg Steamsma that's been playing pretty well for them. I mean, they're both teams. They don't have the deepest of teams, but this could be a more competitive matchup than a lot of people think. If it was up to me, like I said, I think Boston will probably steal one in Atlanta, and then they'll go on to win this series in 6 games. I'm going to say this will be a 6-game series with Boston winning 4-2. Now we move on to the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks. This is the matchup that I'm most intrigued about in the Eastern Conference for the simple fact I believe that the New York Knicks can beat the Miami Heat, but I don't think it will happen for the simple fact I don't think Mike Woodson will be as smart as I think he should be in managing his team. When I look at this matchup, Carmelo Anthony has been thriving at the 4 spot this entire month. He's been killing everybody. He's been scoring lights out. He's been scoring efficiently, and the team has really thrived with that. Tyson Chandler, we know we're going to get defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, block shots, intensity. He's going to bring that energy that you want. The point guard spot for the New York Knicks, Baron Davis has been solid. I wouldn't bank on him, but you also have Landry Fields out there. You have Mara Stoudemire, who's coming back. We're still waiting to see how he fits in. Iman Shumpert has been a great defender all season long. J.R. Smith comes off the bench. You got Novak lighting up threes coming off the bench. There's a lot of good things to say about the New York Knicks. And when you look at the Miami Heat, there's not really too much you can say in terms of what you can say with the Knicks in terms of depth on the bench. You know you got LeBron. You know you got Wade. You know you got Bosh. Starting center, they got Ronnie Turioff. They have Mario Chalmers in the backcourt. After that, it's a pretty much of a toss-up on who's going to get in there, because you know Haslam, he'll either start at center or he'll come off the bench as a 6th man. Mike Miller, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get 3-point shots from him, but can he knock him down on a consistent basis? Shane Battier, he's going to be in there to play defense. Norris Cole, it seems like he's been buried on the bench. It doesn't seem like he's going to get any PT anymore. There's a lot of intrigue in this matchup for the simple fact there's going to be one X factor to all of this, and that's whether or not they allow Carmelo to play the 4 spot more with Amare playing at the 5. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, but if I'm the strategist of the New York Knicks offensive game, I'm going to create matchups that cause confusion for the Miami Heat. I would start Chandler. I would start Melo at the 4. I would start Fields, Shumpert, and Baron Davis. That would be my starting 5. because you know that Bosh is going to be in the starting lineup regardless. Do you think that they would counteract that lineup? You do or don't. You take your chances. You do or die with it. I will bring Amari Stoudemire off the bench as a valuable sixth man to this team, because like I said, that depth that New York has is a lot greater, in my opinion, than what you can get with the Miami Heat. I don't think it's going to happen, but if I'm the coach of the New York Knicks, that's what I would do. For the simple fact, Bosh will not be able to guard Carmelo Anthony out there on the perimeter. He'll be out there on the island by himself. If you switch LeBron on him, that means that you would have Chris Bosh having to switch off on another smaller guy, and either a Landry Fields or a Shumpert or somebody like that who's out there playing a 3 in a matchup that you really don't want, because Bosh will not be able to contend with a smaller guy. Melo would be able to take this man. He would dominate that position. He would be able to dominate Chris Bosh, in my opinion, because Chris Bosh will probably get in foul trouble. He won't be able to contend with that quickness that Melo has on the offensive end. And you know that Bosh likes to play on the perimeter anyway, so on the flip side of things, Melo's defense won't really be as needed as it would be, because Bosh likes to roam on the perimeter, and that's where Melo likes to play anyway. He would be able to beat him with his perimeter game, but when it comes to the post-up situation, you'll probably see a lot less post-up situations with Carmelo, which I'm not going to blame him for, but he can take Bosh off the dribble. He can finish at the rim on Bosh, but I don't think that matchup is going to happen. And for that simple fact, that's the only way that I can see the New York Knicks actually beating the Miami Heat. But I know it's not going to happen, because nobody ever thinks like the fan who watches the game does think. So Miami won the season series in a sweep, 3-0. The games they've had intensity, but they haven't really been competitive. I think that Wade and James will dominate this series, of course, like they always do. But in the end, I think that this will be a tightly contested series, a lot more tighter than a lot of people want to give it credit for. I see the Miami Heat winning this one in 5 games. I'm going to give the Knicks 1 game. They'll probably get 1 game out of this, and it'll be at home. But I will say this, if the Heat slip up at home and allow the New York Knicks to win a game, this series could go to 7. I do think it could go 7 if they do lose a game at home to Miami Heat. But I don't think that it will happen. I think the Heat will go on. They will move on to the next round, and they will get past the New York Knicks. But the Knicks can beat the Miami Heat if Melo plays at the 4 and Amari comes off the bench. Do I think that will happen? I don't. This has been my Eastern Conference preview for the NBA playoffs. Stay tuned. I'm about to go ahead and flip things over, and I'm going to just go ahead and talk about the Western Conference. Blazers Sports Report, Eastern Conference preview. I'll holler at y'all. Peace.